Since childhood, Gabriel had an imaginary friend named Elias. He was always there, joining in every game, suggesting fantastic adventures and stories that felt a little too real. Elias knew things Gabriel didn't quite understand at the time. He talked about places he had never been and described events that felt like dreams or nightmares. But like all kids, Gabriel grew up, and Elias disappeared, just like imaginary friends always do. Now, at 32, living alone in a small apartment and stuck in an exhausting job, Gabriel starts noticing strange things. Small objects out of place, things falling on their own, whispers in the dark. At first, he ignores it, blaming it on exhaustion and sleepless nights. But then, he hears a familiar laugh. A laugh he hasn't heard since childhood. Elias is back. At first, the signs are subtle. A shadow in the corner of his eye, a strange reflection in the mirror. Gabriel feels a presence in his home. Slowly, the manifestations grow stronger. Scribbled notes appear in his notepad. Simple phrases like, "Remember me?" or "We're still friends." Gabriel tries to convince himself he's losing his mind. After all, imaginary friends don't come back. But Elias is no longer just an imaginary friend. Gabriel's dreams become vivid. He sees himself as a child again, running to the fields of his grandparents' farm. But Elias is always there, different this time, his eyes deeper, darker. "You forgot about me," Elias says in one of the dreams. "But I never forgot about you." The hallucinations get worse. Gabriel wakes up in places he doesn't remember going to, wearing clothes he doesn't recall putting on. Objects disappear from his home and reappear in impossible places. His boss questions him about meetings he doesn't remember attending. Time slips through his fingers, as if Elias is playing with his reality. One day, Gabriel finds a childhood journal buried deep in his closet, something he hasn't seen in years. Flipping through the pages, he discovers something disturbing. Elias wasn't just an imaginary friend. The journal describes strange incidents from his childhood, missing memories, and worse, repeated mentions that Elias was never imaginary, written in his own handwriting. He's real. He's here. Gabriel's grip on his life unravels completely. Days vanish without explanation. Dreams and reality blur together. Elias is no longer just a memory. He wants more. One night, Gabriel wakes up standing in front of his mirror, staring at his own reflection. He's smiling, but it's not his smile. The next morning, his neighbors notice something strange. Gabriel hasn't left for work. He doesn't answer calls. His apartment is eerily quiet. But when he finally appears, something is different. His eyes, his demeanor. For the first time, Elias is on the outside. Sophia was 7 years old when she met Brenda. She appeared out of nowhere on a rainy afternoon, while Sophia was playing alone in her room. Brenda always listened to her, always knew what to say. She was a perfect friend. And the best part, she never left. Sophia's parents thought it was cute. "It's just a phase," they would say. A lot of kids have imaginary friends. But Brenda wasn't like other imaginary friends. She knew things Sophia had never told anyone. She knew when the girl was sad before she even cried. And most importantly, Brenda appeared at very specific moments, always when something bad was about to happen. The first time was when Sophia almost fell down the stairs. She was running through the house, like any child would, when she tripped on the rug and leaned forward. At the last moment before she fell, she heard Brenda's voice in her ear, "Careful." Suddenly, Sophia felt something pull her back. She fell sitting on the floor, unharmed. When she looked down the hallway, she saw Brenda standing there, smiling. Then came other incidents. The family dog ran off the leash and almost got hit by a car, but Brenda had already told Sophia to hold him tighter. A storm knocked down a tree in the yard, but that afternoon, Brenda insisted they play in the bedroom away from the window. More and more, Sophia realized that Brenda wasn't just a figment of her imagination. The problem was, as time passed, The tragedies became bigger, and Brenda always knew beforehand. One night, Sophia woke up to find Brenda sitting on the edge of her bed. She looked serious. "Don't go to school tomorrow," she whispered. "Why?" Sophia asked, but Brenda just smiled. The next morning, Sophia's parents forced her to go. She cried, begged to stay home, but there was no way. That day, a short circuit caused a fire in the school's children's wing. Almost all the kids made it out, but one teacher was severely injured. Sophia started to get scared. How did Brenda know these things? Who or what was she really? Sophia's parents began to notice that she was different, quieter, scared. They tried taking her to a psychologist, but Brenda always found a way to convince her not to say anything. "They won't understand," she would say. "I just want to protect you." One day, Sophia gathered the courage to ask the question she'd been avoiding for so long. "Brenda, are you real?" The imaginary friend smiled, tilting her head in a strange way. "If I weren't, would you still be alive right now?" Sophia didn't answer. She didn't know whether to thank her or run away. That night, she slept with the door locked and the blanket over her head. But at dawn, she felt a weight on the bed, heart pounding. She peeked out from under the covers. Brenda was there, looking at her with a dark smile. "I warned you, Sophia. Now there's no turning back. Deep down, you knew this was going to happen. There's no going back." Sophia tried to move away, but something stopped her, as if her legs were stuck to the mattress. What did Brenda mean? Sophia no longer knew if she was being protected, or if she was becoming part of something much bigger and much more dangerous. Brenda moved closer, her smile now twisted, her eyes empty. "It's time for you to understand, Sophia. I've always been here, and you were never alone." With tears in her eyes, Sophia tried to scream, but nothing came out. Her body was paralyzed. "Please, Brenda," she whispered, but the words were lost in the growing darkness. Brenda leaned in, whispering in a voice that was no longer human. "You're not leaving here, because you never should have left." And in that moment, everything around Sophia went dark. She felt her body being pulled into a cold abyss, and the last thing she heard was Brenda's laughter echoing in her mind.